What is up, RetroManiacs? Welcome to the Retro Card Chat Podcast. My name is Mike, and I am from Mike's Retro Trading Cards. And yes, Darren Rell may have bought the world's oldest sealed Twinkie this week, but does he have the guts to eat it? Because I know one of these two guys probably would. They are, of course, your friends and mine, Joe Day and EP Eric Pahalik. How you doing, boys?
100%. Bet me $1. I'd do it.
He spent like $1,000 on this, and they're like talking about the investment. Put that on YouTube and monetize a live stream. Like, come on, you would make your money back tenfold easily by eating that thing. Come on, Darren, do the right thing. That's how you make money.
It probably doesn't taste bad either, right?
No, how bad?
I mean,
I mean, what do they say? Twinkies are supposed to, it's like Twinkies, cockroaches, and Darren Rell will last forever, right? I think it's those three things.
Something
like that, but it's
something like that. They'll be here after the apocalypse. And now it reminds me of that Ghostbusters scene with the Twinkie. That's one big Twinkie. You remember that, Ernie Hudson? That's one big Twinkie.
Yeah, so that is the big news of the week.
Now I'm hankering for a Twinkie, you son of a bitch.
Language, Joe. We're early in the podcast.
I checked the time. We're good.
You need to be careful of that. So, what new and exciting, guys? What's going on, Joe?
Well, just for Bob Boozle, remember that episode of Seinfeld where it felt like George and Elaine switched lives? Like, George was a loser, nobody, didn't have a job, no prospects. And Elaine was like doing great, awesome, and everything. So that's kind of like me and EP. No offense, EP. So this week, though, we switched lives.
What?
EP has air conditioning, and I do not. This is the worst. No air conditioning. How is this something that people survive with? I am like, last night I was packing up some eBay packages, and I'm like, boy, it's getting a little sticky in here. And I've been hearing this noise going. It was my air conditioner making this like god awful noise. It is 32 years old, so I started making noises like that at 32. But holy crap! So I had to shut it off because it wasn't kicking cold air anyway. And I have a ceiling fan. Rob's office has the portable air conditioner. I should have recorded in there, to be quite honest.
Yeah, you really should have.
Bad choices. But yes, so I am EP this week with no air conditioning.
I
Sorry
heard
about that, man.
That wasn't the only like role reversal you two had this week.
Yeah, this SOB stealing my gimmick on his fishing podcast. So I don't know if you guys know, but EP is also on a fishing podcast. You do it every 2 weeks, EP?
Yep.
With your buddy Rob Ingalls.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the realist. He was like conspiracy theory talk. Like,
wow.
He said before, when I confronted him about this, he said before, I'm going to go get my pit hat now. It is starting to get like Paul Lesko and I are going to have a conversation about possible legal action against Eric Pahalik stealing my shtick.
The podcast is actually about cards. Occasionally, Rob will talk about fishing.
It's occasionally you talk about cards, but it's always about fishing.
But in that show, I need to play the role of the realist because Rob is even more positive sometimes than I am on this show.
It's super gross. And to the guy who commented that we don't talk enough about baseball or whatever, tune into that podcast. I don't think Rob Ingalls knows there are other sports.
He does.
He only thinks there's baseball. So, and fishing, if that's a sport.
He does know the other sports, but he's a much bigger fan of baseball.
Drive by on poor Rob, who doesn't even watch our show.
His fault for not watching, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Here I thought all along the EP was just stealing Neo's gimmick, since he has the whole makeup looking just like him.
Yeah. Well, not just like him. Not just like him. I'll leave it alone.
So anybody who watched Extra Innings knows that I came back from the national with the COVID, the only one out of our group that got sick or whatever. So I'm still fighting that. So if I have to mute myself or forget to mute myself and I have to cough or pause for a moment, I apologize for that. But yeah, I mean, so I haven't really worked on any card stuff this week. Like, I haven't really been terribly motivated. Also, it was really warm when the fever finally broke. It was a little bit warm in here. That's why I got the air conditioner yesterday, and now I feel a lot better about it.
Son of a bitch.
EP just found out that air conditioning, when you live in a very warm climate, is refreshing. And he's acting like this is something new. He's been going on about it all
fantastic.
day.
It's the Adam on our text thread.
Yeah.
Like, we know. We've known this for years.
Oh, wow. Well, you know,
I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people do it, guys. I'm sitting here. Like,
I don't do it. No way. But I spent all day sitting in the air conditioning yesterday looking to buy stuff for my next pack stack sale. So, boy, I'm excited about that. I don't know when it's going to be. It might be later on in August or beginning of September, but wow, I've got some cool stuff. What the most fun of doing my sales is when I do these and I try to think back to, oh, this set, like the ones that were only around for a year or two that people forget about. I love to get that stuff because then people see it and they're very excited to be able to buy that again. So yeah, I spent a really rough day. What's the suggestion?
I was going to say, speaking of sets that have only been around for 1 year, Bowman Reserve football. Is that something you've looked into? Maybe you can jot that down.
Yeah, that's a little.
Is it a little pricey?
More expensive. Yeah.
Okay.
Have to get everything at the right price, which is
yeah.
kind of tough. There's a lot of cool stuff out there that I would love to get, but it's just out of my price range. So, yeah. But the big news is tomorrow on the channel. You like to watch us on Mondays, but we don't usually drop a video on Tuesday. So if we're dropping a video on Tuesday, it's an important video. You need to watch this. Our friend Joe Day over here did a fantastic interview with Steve Cherendoff, who is the president of Rittenhouse Cards. Like, it is just an amazing watch. EP and I were like chatting to each other watching it because we're just blown away by the stuff he was talking about. He has experience going back to Skybox in the early 90s. He worked for Fleer when Fleer had Marvel. He worked on Fleer Marvel cards. He has a lot of insight into autographs and how a lot of the big manufacturers get all the sticker autographs that they do that you don't want to miss. Just regardless of whether you're into sports cards or non-sports, this is an interview you need to watch. Make sure you check it out. I'm going to have it dropping at 7 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning. Don't miss it. This is great. Like, we don't pump up a lot of stuff around here, but this interview is great. And what a great guy. So knowledgeable. Like, I want to bring him back just to talk about his experience in the 90s because I'm sure he has stories that we would love to hear. So make sure you check that out. And that guy, I don't know, what kind of a prize do you win for doing interviews on YouTube? Whatever the award is, you should be nominated for it.
I appreciate that.
Is it the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame or what? No,
I have no
that
comment.
Might get you in.
I have no comment on that. No, he didn't talk about sports cards that much, so they would probably hate that video.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it was easy to interview Steve because I would just say, "Hey, Steve, tell me about whatever," and he would tell some of the greatest stories of working with different actors. What was the Sarah Michelle Gellar from Buffy? Like, ironically, you found some Buffy autograph cards in a box that you bought at a garage sale. And he was talking, Sarah Michelle isn't on that set. I got her for Rittenhouse. Like, some of the stories he was telling about getting some of these actors and personalities and artists to come in and do some stuff and his experience with Fleer and all that stuff. I really had a good time. I was nervous at first because, I mean, he's a president of a fairly major manufacturing company for cards. But he was such an affable guy. Really, I mean, I want to bring him back again for sure. We just had such a good time with him. So, yeah, definitely check out that. Tell a friend, share it, like it, subscribe, all that stuff. But definitely watch it.
Yeah, you were when you did the interview, you said about being nervous. Not just is he the president of this very large company? It's a company that we all really respect, right? Because Rittenhouse has got some really, really cool sets and stuff like that. And the word that I used a couple times to describe him is passionate, very, very passionate about what he does, the cards they produce, like all that stuff. And that if you like to listen to people, watch people talk about talk about what they do and talk about something they love, and that it really comes out when they're talking. Like the interview is for you for sure, 100%. Like check it out. It's fantastic.
The bar has been set, Michael Rubin. I'm just saying.
Hey, we'll work our way up to Ruben for sure. But and of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't say we talked a lot about Star Trek too, because he's the one who really pushed the Star Trek stuff at Skybox and Fleer, and then took it with him to Rittenhouse. So that was one of the reasons I wanted him on, is because of the Star Trek stuff. He talked about a ton of other stuff too, but and he broke some news. I think he broke some news.
It seemed like it, yeah.
It seemed like some breaking news. So yeah, definitely check it out.
All right, well, let's get into it this week, guys. Oh boy. Optic first off the line football. Boy, seems to be a lot more downtowns being pulled out of these puppies this year than there have been in the past. There have been multiple breakers and some private collectors that have pulled 25 plus downtowns out of multiple cases of this product already. It started with backyard breaks, and then I think that little Pullman's had like a bunch of cases. Kind of ironic that all these breakers have it right after the national, and they're getting all these with all this in it. But yeah, there are way more of these out there than are supposed to be out there. And if I can figure out how to share my screen here, I want to read the response from Panini, because they did give finally an official response to the situation. And here it is. It's on the screen, right? Okay. We got update on Donruss Optic downtown. Earlier this week, we became aware of a manufacturing issue with first off the line Donruss football Optic and a collation issue related to the downtown insert. After conducting a 72-hour on-site audit at a new print manufacturer, we found that there was an error during manufacturing. The audit revealed that this issue was isolated, they say affecting, I believe it's affecting, isn't it? A small number of first off-the-line cases where extra content was included in some cases, but there was no shortage of any content in the first off the line boxes sold. The rest of the Donruss football Optic manufacturing and pack out was normal and unaffected. So apparently they put a whole lot more of these somehow got into the product, but somehow none of the other boxes are supposed to be affected by the fact that these were in. Now, very possible there's just a ton of these, but there were numbered ones also in these extra hits. So I'm not quite sure how Panini expects us to believe that having a bunch of numbered ones in here isn't going to affect the odds of getting those numbered ones in other cases, unless there are more than the number says. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that was a really PR-ish kind of response from Panini, but clearly there is a problem here with the collation. Like, yeah, kind of figured that out, but why is it that all this seemed to be going to breakers is what I want to know.
Well, first off, I wanted to put my conspiracy theory helmet on, my juggernaut-ish helmet. But then Panini kind of ruined it for me because they said a new manufacturer, new producer, whatever. And I'm like, I wanted to blame Fanatics. Damn it. I wanted to blame them because they own the printing company that a lot of people use now. But apparently, no, it is, unless it's a new printing company that Fanatics also owns, which the way they buy things, it's completely possible.
Very possible.
Why it went to breakers, I don't think this was a thing that they intended 25 downtown to be hit from breakers just because this would happen, right? Like, this is the one time where I'm like, there's no way this was intentionally sent to breakers, because it would make its way onto the internet for sure. Like if it was sent to a private person, they'd be like, holy shit, I just hit a crazy, a treasure chest or whatever Fanatics calls theirs. Like, so I don't think it was intentionally sent to breakers, as in breakers get loaded boxes, especially after Backyard wasn't the only one. After Backyard, I'm like, oh shit, they're sending this intentionally to them. But since Backyard wasn't the only one, and then Mike, you mentioned like some private people had opened first off the line.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
So as for the numbered question, that's really interesting. Like, did they have some numbered ones set aside for the regular hobby, and the numbered ones that should go to first off the line got mixed in there too? And now you've got maybe 2 1s of 10, you know what I mean? Or 2 of 10s and so on, or multiple 1 of 1s, which seems to be an issue in this hobby anyway. But the other takeaway is, you mentioned at the top, there's more downtowns going into the product than there should have been. Do we know that's true? We don't know how many downtowns there are. They're not numbered.
Well,
They're case hits.
Let me give you this. There was looking at the PSA pop reports. In 2018, there were 354 downtowns. In 2023, the population was 7,807. So they're clearly putting more of these in every year.
Maybe people aren't grading them.
Even more this year. Yeah, they're not grading the 20.
People are just not grading downtowns anymore. Come on.
That must be it.
Yeah.
There's so much here. I'll start with what we just talked about, though. The I know on the sell sheets in previous years, I love my sell sheets. In the previous years, in the previous years, downtowns were considered ultra rare inserts, and now there's no like qualifier saying ultra rare on this year's. So they're so in theory they did plan to have maybe make them more available. I don't think they plan to have, like you guys said, have this happen. Right? Not this available, right? To answer the very first question, why do the breakers get it? I mean, first off the line is that's a breakers product, right? It's overpriced because it's got all this stuff, so that's definitely a breakers product. So, and if the problem was in there, if the collation problem and the manufacturing problem was with that's why they end up getting it. But then also, I can't I forget the exact words at the very end of that statement. But like normal something. I was like, I don't think they understand what those words mean, because there's no way you can have, if you have a collation problem in one part of the product, it's going to affect the overall population of that card type throughout the entire thing, right. Or it's going to affect it in the previous. You can't. The math's got to add up. It doesn't.
You know what else isn't going to be normal is the value of downtowns now, because
right? Definitely. Well,
they shouldn't be, but
right. I think the thing is that maybe we just Panini is conducting this social experiment to see if they can destroy the value of their downtowns by putting so many of them out there. Like, who knows?
They're gonna light a fire on their way out the door.
Yeah, they're just gonna burn it all to the ground.
Or maybe Panini just doesn't care anymore. I think there's a lot of evidence that points to that.
Yeah. I mean, give the people what they want. Like if there's a downtown in every pack, downtown for you and a downtown for you, give the people what they want.
Right.
We'll sell all that Optic.
And I was watching a ton of content leading up to the national, like folks that do card shows and stuff like that, like card show vlogs and stuff. And the one thing consistently, to a man, all of them said was, walking in with downtowns is like walking in with cash, because everyone wants them. Either Panini heard that and said, "Oh, do they now?" Or people are now just realizing how plentiful they really are. Like this is definitely an aberration. They printed way more than they should, but maybe it'll open up people's eyes to realize how many they actually would print, because what they need to give us a number of what's supposed to be in there versus what ended up being in there. Like that needs to come out for them to clean this up at least. And the cards this year, especially the non-numbered ones, which I think is the concern that I have, because if multiple 1s out of 10s, multiple golds come out of the same number, that can be handled. But looking at the non-numbered ones, they should be the least valuable ones to ever have come out from Panini, right? Like there's just too many of them. and they can sneak them through because we talk about this all the time. All the unnumbered parallels, just a way to just print more shit, right? And that's what they're doing. You know, that's what they're doing here, intentionally or not. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, to your point on those numbered cards, I believe also this year they have different levels of the parallel. Like kind of like, you know how like Select has like the concourse level, that sort of stuff.
Right.
I think they have like two or three
They have
different levels of it.
international, Super
Yeah,
Bowl, and the regulars, I think.
Right. Yeah, I think they have like three different so that add that layer on top of everything else. So yeah.
And they make
seems like
downtowns in regular Donruss too. Like they make them in Donruss, so they're like kind of paperish downtowns. Then they have the chrome downtowns. People, you have to understand, you're not buying a rare commodity here. This is not like a numbered out of 100 card. People used to make fun of 90s inserts. Oh, you believe that's numbered to 999? I bet you there's less of that numbered to 999 than there is of that Eli Manning Super Bowl downtown that you just pulled.
There might be less Donruss Diamond Kings numbered to 10,000 than there are downtowns. That's a good point, though. Like there are we collected in the 90s, and we have the history of knowing that there were a lot of inserts that were really popular and considered really rare at the time in the 90s, that now you go back and they're really not worth that much at all. And downtowns are kind of the same thing. I know they're going to be a nostalgia for people of a certain age when they get older, but there are a lot of them out there. Like they have made more and more and more of them. So don't necessarily think just because they're going to be nostalgia that they're going to hold value, because if they're not numbered, you don't know how many they are, and there are more and more and more of them being made every year. And apparently this year is going to be way more than they have before.
Yeah, you can't compare these to PMGs, because PMGs are truly super limited, right? Like that's the one, the example people look at is like, oh, well, what's going to be the PMG, you know, for the next generation or whatever. And this definitely does not going to fit that boat, because PMGs are truly like super limited.
And Mike, you made a really good point when we were talking about like 10 years from now, 15 years from now, what's that nostalgia thing? And I think we were talking about Select. Like there's more than one Joe Burrow rookie card that you can go and get, right? You can, I like the Tiger Stripe one, or I like the gold one. I like this die cut. I like that. The same thing's going to happen with downtowns too, because there are players that are on a downtown every year. Like, so you're going to have your options. So if you want a nostalgia point, that's great, but you can go and find the cheapest version of the one you want 10 years down the road, because Patrick Mahomes, I think, is probably in every set of downtowns. Right. So like, that's something else to think about too. You don't have to get him now. You can wait a little bit, because this might little chink in the armor, right? You know, they might lower the price. It should.
Probably won't. No.
Like I said, it's social experiment. Good job, Panini. Let's let Panini. Good job. Let's see what happens.
Where's the realist in this episode?
Right.
All right. Well, you know, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but there's a collector, a big time collector, I guess. He goes by the name of Shane 150, and he posted a video, I believe, on Instagram on his private jet coming back from the National, ripping his $80,000 case of 2009-2010 exquisite basketball. And he was becoming very irritated when he figured that his case must have been tampered with, because he was pulling cards out from previous years, and he's throwing these things down like they don't matter at all. But the exquisite from 09-010 had cards on the checklist from previous years. Upper Deck took cards that they had and put those in these products, and apparently the seller that sold them to him gave him a refund. But like, there's a whole lot of not really knowing what you're buying for $80,000 going on in one little video on a private jet.
You know, I hate like fucking overprivileged rich people who can just throw money away. Like, you were right, Mike. As I'm watching him rip this product, just throwing these cards down like they were like, he was like throwing them like shooting stars, it felt like at one point. And again, he didn't know what he was buying, right? So what do they say about, you know, separating an idiot from his money? You know, like I forget the idiom, but it's the heat. I usually remember these idioms, guys.
You do, yeah. You're
It's
very
the, it's
good
the
at
heat.
those.
But you know, he didn't know what he was buying. And if you're giving him a refund, clearly the seller didn't know what he was selling him. Right? Like, so what in the world are we doing here? Where these overprivileged people with way too much money are throwing it away. And this is definitely different than I forget the kid's name. I say kid because I'm old. Ben, I think it was, that bought the PMG, who didn't really do the research on that because he wasn't an asshole. Right? Like, he seemed like a nice person and he was just concerned, and he had fully admitted he was a newbie and all this. This guy, it's kind of the same thing, but he's an asshole about it. And he whined and complained and got his way when in actuality, no one did anything wrong. It's not just Upper Deck back in, would you say it was, Mike, 08, 09?
09,
It's not just
10.
09, 10.
Yeah, 9, 10. It's not just Upper Deck that does that. Panini still does that. Like, there are, like, Jamar Chase didn't sign cards his rookie year. I'm sorry. So they finally got his autographs on cards. So his rookie auto was in the next year's Flawless, right? So like, it still happens, and you're going to drop $80,000 and not know what you're doing. I'd say I have no sympathy, but then the asshole got his $80,000 back for no reason.
Yeah, I feel like if you're dropping $80,000, like I guess people just don't care about what they do with their money at that point. Like for me, when I was doing the case project, and even now when I'm looking at buying stuff, like again, I look at the sell sheets because I want to know, like, if I don't like the design, or if I don't like the insert sets, or whatever, then I'm not going to spend my money on it. Just to throw $80,000, but to not know what you're getting yourself into. Like you would think that would be something pretty well known about that set. That if you did any sort of research into it whatsoever, if you were looking to get into that set and pay $80,000 for it, that's something that you figure you would find out, like you would know. And to go back to the refund, if you got a dude that's spending $80,000 on a case with you, you're going to keep them happy because they're going to come to spend another $100,000 next month or whatever. So I can kind of see why they maybe gave him the refund there, just because we got to keep this guy happy because he's going to
big company to give him that $80,000. Because even if next month he comes and spends $100,000, you got $100,000 for giving him $180,000 worth of product. So you know what I mean? Like, you refunded him that $8,000. Even if he spends $100,000 next month, you're only getting $20,000 for two things that were worth $180,000. So
I guess, yeah, it's
going to take you a while to make up the profit that you lost.
So unless he's every month giving you $100,000, and you're like, that I get, you want to make sure he's happy, he's a big whale. But if he's not, I would have stuck to my guns, be like, dude, read the checklist, you schmuck.
Just the ultimate irony in this hobby is that people who can't afford that kind of product know what's in it, yet people who can don't. I mean,
that kind of checks out, though. That kind of feels right.
Yeah.
It's really gross. Yeah.
Let us know in the comments too if you want us to put like a Joe Day curse meter up in his little box up there, because he's really throwing them out for free.
I for free today. It's the heat, boys. I'm telling you what, it's getting to me.
Well, the NFLPA is probably cursing right about now too, because apparently reports are there was a article done by Eric Gardner from Puck.News. I don't know what that is, but apparently Puck.News and Mike Florio had shared it on NBC Sports, but the NFLPA reportedly lost the arbitration case versus Panini and was made to pay them $7 million. So their main thing was, I guess there was truth to the fact that with all the people that left Panini to go to Fanatics, they were trying to say that it was a change in management, but it didn't. The people that left really didn't qualify in the eyes of the arbitrator as a change in management. So they ended up losing. So that's they lost. Panini won the case against WWE when they tried to do it, And apparently they did, because they're making cards, even though there's never been an official, ruling on that. And now they're allowed to keep the NFL license they have. So whoever may have gotten in the ears of any of these companies and tried to get them to do whatever they may have gotten them to try to do, apparently it's not working out legally for them. I didn't want to say any names because,
right,
certain people here might be on the payroll.
Right, and we don't want to get sued.
But Panini 2-0.
I'll tell you what, are they like maybe we'll win this antitrust suit? Like we're batting 1,000 right now.
3 downtowns for everybody.
Right, that's downtowns, man.
That's what this is. They're celebrating with downtowns.
They're celebrating with downtowns. People toast with champagne, they toast with downtowns. Why not? No, I mean, I guess this is good. I don't know. Because again, we're going from one oligarch to another in a year. What's it matter? Whatever. That's my hot take on it.
Really, sadly, that's true. Like, what difference does it make? It's going to be one company having the license regardless.
Yeah.
Go ahead, AB.
You said 7 million with an M? Million?
Yeah.
7 million?
M.
That's chump change to the NFL, right? Like that's, that's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of,
yeah. It is kind of a
and I'm sure I'm sure maybe
I'm glad
whoever put something in someone's ear, maybe they'll pay it for them. Who knows? Maybe after they sold some stock, like say $1 billion worth of stock, maybe they have some money laying around to help out with the lawsuit. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but it's completely possible that the NFLPA will be fine one way or the other. They'll be fine.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Michael Rubin is who I'm
talking about.
Okay. No, what's funny is
after the white party, he had to
sell $1 billion.
Remember? Yeah.
EP, you know why this is going to be concerning to you as someone who's going to buy Fanatics products?
Oh no, why is that?
It's just going to raise the price of football products next year to cover that $7 million because they'll have to give that to the NFLPA, and then boom, there you go. It'll be past the consumer, as it often is.
I'm out on Ultra Modern except for one set next year, so I'm good.
What's the one set?
Well, next year Topps Series 1.
Oh, Topps baseball.
But you don't do Series 2 or update. So
I probably will do Series 2 and update next year, possibly.
Wait, you like baseball?
So I do like baseball.
I read the comments.
Okay, so I've been saving this.
Baseball cards?
I've been saving this. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I'm going to talk about it right now. When I got my case project in 2023, what was the anniversary set that they did? Some of the inserts and that sort of stuff. 1988. So this year is 1989. So next year is
2012.
Well, it should be. Hang on a second. It's 1990. So I'm guessing after the fun face card, they're gonna have like some no name on front Frank Thomas stuff. So it's gonna be a lot of throwbacks to 1990 Topps. So I definitely gonna
and whatever IP they can steal from Upper Deck to use too.
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
That'll be helpful. What was Upper Deck doing in 1990?
Yep, Jim Elias. Put him in there.
No, just an oval die cut card that has kind of a 3D-ish effect coming off of the paper. It'll be called something else like Chili or something, right? Instead of Jambalaya, I get it.
Well, I heard a rumor somewhere that Topps was going to buy Upper Deck. Didn't you hear that rumor somewhere?
I did hear that, yeah.
I know Dustin did a whole video on it, and I don't know. I want to stick up for Dustin a little bit here because he was having people say this was a clickbait title, but clearly I remember you, Joe Day, talking about this on the podcast. So it was clearly a rumor because you talked about it. I mean, you might have totally made it up, but it was a rumor. I totally made it up. There's truth to the fact that there was a rumor about it.
Yes.
I think I brought it up and Joe shot it down and said there's no way that wouldn't happen.
I'm fine with that too. I mean, EP is the big time.
EP started the rumor.
I did not start the rumor. I heard about another podcast and I said it in the show as well.
You know where he heard it? He heard it on a fishing podcast.
I did not. It was on.
It's just like a circle, man. Everything.
I thought you heard the Marvel thing on another podcast.
I did, but it was that's what it was though.
No.
Marvel.
Dustin is talking about them buying Upper Deck. The entire
Fanatics buying
company.
Right.
Upper Deck.
Or Fanatics.
Yeah. But I mean, that if they're going to get the Marvel license, then they can also use all the Upper Deck properties, the Fleer properties and stuff like that. So it's package deal.
All right. Well, there you go. So
There
you heard it here first. Going to happen.
We got your back, Dustin. Anybody who wants to
Yes.
fight you, we'll fight them for you. So.
We'll send EP.
Okay.
I'm down. Let's go.
There was a collector this week on Facebook that, this is really interesting, shared his 16 by 20 sheet of early 90s sticker autographs from Mickey Mantle. It was a complete sheet of them with 99 autographs on it. There was 100 stickers, and the one sticker he put an inscription of "This pen sucks." Like right in the middle of the sheet.
That is awesome.
Which is really cool. But like, the reason I wanted to bring this up is because we did an interview with Steve Cherndorf, and he talked a little bit about sticker autographs. And you might be surprised where the current manufacturers, how they source some of the sticker autographs. And I thought this would be an interesting story, because here you have somebody that has 99 Mickey Mantle autographs on stickers. I'm not saying whether a company may or may not at some point in time offer him money to put these on, buy them from them so they can put them on cards, but that's what I'm telling you. And, to see how much stuff like this is actually out there. Like, it's kind of amazing when you see a collector that is in possession of a whole sheet of sticker autographs. Mm-hmm. And it makes you wonder how many other, this is probably a thing that I just don't know about, but I'm sure it's a thing, right? And where do these stickers, do we know they're real, or have they been who authenticated them? Have they been authenticated? Who's going to buy them? Who's going to put them on stickers? Who's going to put them in packs of cards? I don't know, but there's a whole thing out there. Stickers are out there floating around in the wild. Some collectors have them. Some of them end up on cards, is what I'm trying to tell you.
I'd be interested. Like, if I was this guy, it'd be interesting to see if one of the major card companies would buy it, or if you frame it and sell it on Golden or Heritage, because it's such a unique thing.
It is framed. He has it.
It is framed.
Yeah, it's really cool looking.
Yeah, I almost think he might do better by selling it to a big time Mickey Mantle fish, right? Right. To me, because the card companies, I guess depending on how many, I forget how many you said there were, Mike, but
99.
So you could have those as not case hits. I'm sorry. Product chases,
hits. Right. Yeah.
Product hits for decades to come. Right.
So there are only 99 of them, Joe. That'd be a year, maybe a year and a half.
Well, I don't know. And Fanatics may be out of the market, because EP told us they're doing only on card autos from now on. So
it's not
interesting to get some of those older players and puppies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if I was this guy, highest bidder, baby. Who's coming at me? It's either one of the card companies or it's one of the auction houses. You got to get rid of this thing. But to that point, Mike,
maybe he doesn't want to, though.
That's true.
Yeah,
depends on how much money. Maybe he has $80,000 to spend on Exquisite from 2009, 2010. But no, good point. Good plug for the interview. Steve has some great takes on sticker autos, so definitely watch that tomorrow. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he ends up doing with this.
300% crazy unique collectible to have it. And I could see where somebody, if they are a collector of either really unique stuff and a high-end collector of that kind of stuff, or if they're a Mansell fan, definitely paying a lot of money just to have that uncut sheet, or that unpulled sticker sheet, or I guess what would be called.
Sheet, yeah.
So I mean, it's just I feel like this is one of the, like you said, there are how many of these are probably out there? If you have an entire sheet of this of Mickey Mantles, you think about how many out there are of Geronimo Baroa, some random baseball player from the 80s, from during the 80s or whatever. You wonder how many of those are out there that people have in their closets or whatever. If there's a Mantle one out there like this, there's got to be tons of other ones. So I wonder. I just wonder what that looks like, and if there's somebody out there collecting that kind of stuff.
If you're a major Mickey Mantle collector, what would you rather have? this or his 52 tops. I'd rather have this. Like, this is way more unique than, like, if you look like estimated value versus estimated value, give me the framed sheet of random sticker autos that he has over whatever the equivalent of the 52 Manel not rookie is. Like, it'd be really interesting to see. If I was a big Manel collector, that's like a grail type thing. 99 sticker autographs, and one where he inscribes talking about how bad the pen is. I mean, that's a grail item for a Manel person.
Talk about a 101. Like that is a massive 101.
Yeah, for sure.
Almost as cool as, did you ever see there's a 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle that is stuck in a vending machine, and
they sell the vending machine?
Yeah, because I guess it had, like, over the years it got wet and stuff, so it is like welded to the glass on
that's
the
awesome.
vending machine, cool. So it can't be peeled off, but it's right there. Like, imagine, like, that's
crazy.
That's so cool.
Imagine walking into someone's like game room or man cave or whatever and seeing that and going, holy shit, this is freaking awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And, you know, this is just me, but I think that is way more unique, has a better story, and should be worth more money than a PSA 10 Mickey Mantle, because you can't fake that. You can't. That was 70 some years worth of that, you know, situation.
The story is so
naturally.
Much better.
Yeah. Yep. But, you know,
like, this person pulled a Mantle and put it into a box and forgot about it. That story's boring.
But what if
having it stuck to a vending machine? Like, that's such a cool conversation piece for someone, again, super.
That's it. We're buying it. We're buying it for the.
We're monetized.
Do you think we can get PSA to encapsulate the entire machine? Grade the machine.
I wouldn't say no. They probably would.
At first it's cards, then it's comics, now it's vending machines. Damn it, this world's going to hell.
2 curses in that too. Oh wow. Okay. Well, you know, we were at the National, and Joe, you were hanging out a lot at Beckett there because you love BGS.
I forgot my hat again. Damn it.
Yep. Right next to Beckett was the alt booth. Mm-hmm. Little did it was very busy. I got a free Lifesavers mint there, and I got a pen that works pretty well too. I like the pen. But little did I know that they were buying, took in for consignment over 2,000 cards at the National with a total value of over $4.5 million. And they paid out over $2 million in advances toward the sale of those cards. EP, like, we really should have dug into our bags and pulled out some cards. They were giving out cash. I feel like I missed an opportunity there.
They gave me 100,000.
Oh, did they?
That's how I got the air conditioner.
That's how I got the air conditioner.
But, you know, we saw, like, PWCC getting a lot of trouble with this not too long ago. Yeah. Apparently, though, this is still something that goes on. They're betting. Apparently, that's under half the amount of what they took in. So maybe they're doing it a little more realistically and at a little better level, where they know that these cards will definitely sell for more than they're giving out, unlike the loans and stuff PWCC was giving out. But I was kind of surprised to see that this is still such a big thing in the hobby.
So when you first sent the story, I was like, oh my God, they're giving out, you know, what are they doing? This is crazy. Like, but I go back to, boy, this the show that keeps on giving, the Golden Touch. They do this all the time. They give advances.
It's very common
all the time. Like, someone brought in, I think this was season 1. Spoiler alerts ahead. Someone brought in a Steph Curry gold, I think out of 50 rookie card from Topps Chrome, and they gave an advance on it. Someone sold a Eminem autographed platinum album or whatever it was. They gave a pretty hefty advance on it. Like, it's I mean, the risk is with them. It feels like the last time this was done, wasn't it almost like people were using cards as collateral? So
Yeah, it was more like a loan.
Yeah. So in this case, it's more, well, we're going to sell the cards with alt. So, and alt is projecting that it goes for X amount of dollars. So they're giving us a percentage of that projection. I'd love to see what like the average per item was, because it sounds like a lot of money, but then when you think about it, you know, maybe it's still not that 50,000 isn't a lot of money, but it might have been spread across like 50,000 advance on this card, maybe $25,000 advance on that card, or was it just one big massive collection? There's like, here's millions of dollars because we think it'll sell for double that, and then you'll get the on top of the advance. I don't know, but these auction houses are competing with each other at all times. If you're a buyer, I'm sorry, if you're a seller, you want to go to the one that's going to give you the best advance and the lowest fees. And alt's like, hey, we're shelling out millions of dollars in advances.
I didn't even realize alt was still like around.
I didn't know they were either until I was standing in that Beckett line.
Yeah. They had a nice booth there too. So
yeah, they're around well enough to be handing out that kind of cash. Like this kind of thing is okay until such time as like something like happens where the
market crashes.
The financial markets crash, and all of a sudden nobody has any money whatsoever, and the stuff doesn't sell, and then you're not going to get that money back and stuff like that. So, like again, they're low percentage, but it's still a decent chunk of money to give somebody to something that hasn't sold yet. So, I mean, you could see the same thing happening with the PW that happened to PWCC, but you have to hope that maybe they're looking at it more smartly or whatever. Just it's weird that we're in this universe where cards are worth like cards are being used as collateral. Like I realize it's not technically a loan, but they're like changing hands and they're giving advances on sales like that. So it's
like wild. When you get your tax return and you need the money right away, and you're going in and they're like, oh, H&R Block will give you X amount, or shadier than H&R Block, I suspect. I don't know, but like a company like that is like, oh, we'll give you an advance on this, and that's kind of what's going on here. We know you're going to be able to sell this card for X amount of dollars. So, but again, it's going to sell for X amount of dollars until it doesn't. What happens if, say, they gave someone $100,000 for a card? The market changes wildly, especially for ultra modern players that are still playing. Say it's a Joe Burrow 101 and he goes out week 1 and tears his knee up or something like that. I have him in a lot of leagues. I hope that's not the case. But what happens, say you gave that person an advance for more than the card's worth? Are they required to give you that portion back? I need to know that. I'm very curious on how that works, because that can get dangerous. Right. Like if it's a mantle or something like that, sure, chances are that card's not going to fluctuate so wildly. But if they're not just buying mantles, right? They're definitely buying ultra modern stuff.
They should be buying mantles.
You should. Right. That's probably it.
Especially ones in vending machines.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully somebody took their advance from alt and bought the Katie Ledecky 1-of-1 worn superfractor from the new Topps Chrome Olympics. We're all enjoying the Olympics. I love watching the Olympics. I'm one of my guilty pleasures. And Katie Ledecky is a GOAT. Let's just be real about it. She is incredible. But there was something a little bit off with the 1-of-1 worn superfractor. Now, it wasn't the autograph card. It was the 1-of-1 superfractor of the relic. And the relic was a swim cap. But the swim cap had the letters HY on the swatch that was in the card. And it was in the same font as where they have their name. Now, I mean, I'm not a linguist or anything, but I don't think Katie Ledecky, I don't think that name has an H.
Unless it goes CH, which it doesn't. Like there is CH, you could go Ledecky. There's that. But no, her name is not spelled with a C or an H. So, and I'll tell you what, this is 2 stories this week. I'm getting sick and tired of Panini making these screw ups with all the extra downtowns. And now this.
It's Fanatics. It's not Panini.
Wait, Fanatics screws up? What?
Yeah.
I'm just hearing
what?
This. Is this true?
Yep. You know this. The dude in charge of the relics. He has his one job to do, right? Like this. Like she is the decorated. She's the most decorated female swimmer ever now. Like with the medal she's won, and and so they go and of all the athletes that are probably in that product, right? Maybe Simone Biles might be the only other one. His is elevated right now in American sports. And yeah, they mess up that one of all the ones. Like, you had one job, just get Katie Ledecky's right. That's the one that people are going to be wanting, and you messed it up, dude.
Wow.
This is, to me, this is a way bigger story than the downtowns, and I'll tell you why. Panini's gone next year, so they screw up this time. Okay, whatever. They're going to be gone. This is the company you all have chosen.
No, they chose it for. They paid the money. They chose it.
This
for
is
us.
the
We did not
company
choose them.
you all have chosen, and you now love, and you are going to bow at their altar. Okay, so I'm not you guys. Well, EP, but not
EP.
Mike,
Yeah.
you're back on the side of good over here. But
Yeah, I am.
like again, the screw ups that they have. We say this every time they have a screw up, and their screw ups seem to be big. Like they don't like no little screw ups for Fanatics. They really go in hard. But these screw ups are so much more magnified to me because again, we've got them for 20 years. You know, like not for the Olympics specifically, but they're going to be making football, basketball, baseball, probably hockey,
Probably Marvel. Yep.
Yeah, definitely Marvel. I think
Yeah.
probably hockey though. At some
Star
point.
Wars.
I mean,
yep.
Yes, they make Star Wars. Like they have just all the major properties, and it's like this is what we're gonna get. This is not like that George Pickens jersey has I was gonna say a P, but he actually has a P in his name. Has an A, right? Like which has happened, but no one gives a shit because it's a George Pickens, RPA. This is huge. This is the super factor, probably the most valuable card in the product, right? Or one of the top five.
I would think
one of them. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow. Did you guys see that there is a customer that's filing a lawsuit against Whatnot because he was claiming that his child spent $67,000 on the app in 2 hours? Now, there's questions out there whether or not this really happened, because this is a hobby. It's a legitimate question to go, is this real? Or did somebody spend $67,000 in breaks and not get anything, and now they're feeling a little sick to their stomach, and now they're saying, oh, it was my kid that did it? Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure, but I do think the step of taking a lawsuit would make it a little more difficult if it was actually you that did it and you're making up the story, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think EP, when we talked about the story a little bit, I held back because I was like, we have to save it for the pod. But I think you even mentioned that, EP, like once they filed the lawsuit, you're kind of thinking that this is legit. My question though is, what's Whatnot's liability here? Like if the kid stole their dad's credit card, because I'm assuming that's what happened, not that a baby took the phone and accidentally rolled over and bid $67,000 on Whatnot breaks.
Consecutive hours.
You're right, exactly. Like just roll back and forth. It had to be like a teenage kid who wanted to get into breaks, and they did, and they used their dad's credit card. If the dad has a Whatnot account, or the kid started one and lied, what's Whatnot's responsibility? And I don't want to stick up for Whatnot here, but I'm curious on what their actual liability is if they had a credit card number, someone clicked the box that says, I confirm I'm 18 years old or whatever. Like the dad, I assume that it's a younger kid. I don't know. But really, the dad's issue is with the child, not with the app. So I don't know what the legality of that is.
I don't know what the legality is either.
What is the legality for like an online casino if a child like goes on the phone and has their dad's credit card?
Same question. I honestly don't know.
Because it's really the same thing. Like, I don't know. I don't know what steps are in place and what the remedies are like for casinos that are actually regulated compared to Whatnot. But I mean,
that's a good point. That's the difference. I think you answered your own question. The difference is the regulation of it, I'm
guessing that the casinos probably are held to a little bit higher standard of having to make sure that people can provide proof that they're over a certain age to be able to gamble, because like the daily fantasy sports and stuff became a lot harder to do on your phone a couple years back when they made all those changes. And we all know Whatnot's really not that hard to be able to go on, and they're not checking my age before I'm doing it.
Right. And then I mean, is this something that maybe pushes our hobby toward more regulation? You know what I mean? Is this the kind of thing where somebody stops
the
things
entry
like,
level lawsuit, right? Like,
right.
So lawsuits that make it to the Supreme Court always start at the local level, right? And they have to make their way up. Like this kind of feels, this could be that lawsuit that people are like, wait a minute, a kid just did this, cost his father $70,000 in credit card debt, and the company has no like legal, well, we'll find out, because I could see this getting appealed to the point where local governments or state governments are like, oh yeah, we might need to look into this. This is kind of crazy.
The hobby needs regulation, and I know there are a lot of people out there that don't want to hear it, but my bottom line is right now you have Fanatics who owns a gambling app. They do sports betting. They also have a breaking platform where people, let's face it, you're gambling, but they are also the manufacturer, and they are the manufacturer creating a product that they are selling to the people that are breaking it on their platform. So if you don't think there should be any kind of regulation, I think you need to pull your head out of your ass, because like, you have a company that's making the product. They're selling to the people that are breaking it on their platform. We need to know that there's no funny business going on in that whole exchange. Would there be a financial benefit to Fanatics to send good stuff to the people that are breaking it on their platform? Absolutely. Because if that's where all the good stuff, Joe, you joke about it all the time, I'm going to break on Fanatics. Why wouldn't you? Because they're going to get all the good stuff. Like, it's true. And then Fanatics makes the money off of selling it, then makes the money off the fees off you buying into the breaks. If more and more people are going on there because they're getting all the good stuff, they're making more money. So we need to know that whole process is legitimate and on the up and up. And there's nothing in place legally that allows us to know that everything is on the up and up. So yes, I'm not a huge fan of everything being regulated, but when there's that much money changing hands, it's going to happen. You just know it's going to happen.
Right now, they're the casino and the gaming control board. Like Fanatics, they are the casino for sure. That's without question, but they're self-regulating. That's kind of sketchy, and we wouldn't let a casino do that. We wouldn't go to that casino if there's a good chance that we walk out with nothing in our pocket every single time, because there's no ramifications for cheating someone. So yeah, you're right, Mike. A lot of people don't want to hear the words regulation when it comes to the card industry, but as cards get more and more expensive, not just the secondary value, but just buying the boxes gets more and more expensive, and breaks are going to get more and more expensive. And there's so much money involved. How many stories have we talked about today? They're just like millions of dollars, just like it's nothing. Alt paid out $4.5 million. Oh, whatever. That doesn't seem like that much. Like a guy spent $80,000 on a box of cards. Oh, okay. Like there's billions of dollars of money probably at the National. We estimated, right, a couple of weeks ago. At some point, there's so much money changing hands. A lot of it not taxed, by the way. So at some point, a local or state government and maybe beyond starts looking into it a little bit more.
Yeah, you think about our hobby, what it looked like back in 1990, and then in like 1999, 2000. It's like, I mean, but you think about what it was like then. Sure, there were big cards like changing hands, that sort of stuff, but nothing, not even remotely close to what is happening today, where there are so many of those cards out there now from all these ultra modern products, and even the vintage stuff is still selling for that amount of money. So you think about the amount of money that we're talking about here. The amount of money changing hands is astronomical to think about. And there's no way they're not going to get in there and get their hands in there. But then to one of your points, Mike, the opportunity for corruption and fraud when you are controlling all those different parts of all these different things that are already potentially fraudulent, like the breaking, that sort of stuff. Already there's so much there that we've witnessed people taking cards, that sort of stuff. Like there needs to be regulation 100%. Like there are just so many opportunities for corruption in that whole thing that I'm not saying that they are corrupt right now, but the opportunities are there, and having regulation in place would be something that very, very important.
I was in local government and politics for a long time. We always used to say, you write a law not for the person in charge now. You write a law for the worst possible person that could be in charge. Sure, Michael Rubin could be the most up and up guy in the world. Great. That's not saying he's always going to be in charge of that. That's not saying that at some point someone might come in and try and do some shady stuff. You have to look at the regulations as in potentially the absolute worst person in the world could be in charge and trying to screw as many people over as possible.
And remember, like FanDuel had some employees that got in trouble for cheating, that were cheating on their site a couple of years ago too. So if you think stuff isn't happening, if it can happen there, it probably is happening. I think it's
huge
more
corporations
safe to
aren't beyond it.
There are people,
there are a lot of employees
doing things that aren't supposed to be doing, and we know that. We hear about it a lot. We talk about it a lot on here. So all right, well, I'm going to wrap up this week with two little tidbits here I thought were interesting. One of the ways I've talked about this before in like growing the hobby and stuff is doing collaborations with like famous people. And there were two pretty interesting collaborations, one of which, again, was PSA doing it. They did the one with the baseball players having the cards in their pockets. Bryce Harper wore turf shoes that had the PSA 10 Gem Mint logo on the back of his shoes, and they then sold the shoes on not the actual shoes, but Under Armour released the turf shoes on their website with a card that came with it, and they had 20 randomly inserted autographs across the print run of the cards, and they made them available, and they sold out very quickly at $199 a pair. Which was really interesting. But this is stuff to get people. There are a lot of sneakerheads out there, and this was really cool and different. And you get a card with it, and kind of making a hybrid of these two different huge collectibles, I think is big and can get a lot of new people interested. And Topps is doing a collaboration with rapper Travis Scott. He's doing a Topps Chrome set where they're going to have 49 baseball players and a card of Scott himself. They're going to be 8 cards per box, and they're only making 1,000 boxes of these. And those are going to be exclusively sold at Fanatics Fest that's coming up. So, I've been saying about that too. That's a huge market that is untapped with something like that. And this is, it's going to be a crazy product. I can't imagine what the secondary market prices of it are going to be, but I think it's great. I think they need to do a lot more of this kind of stuff. And I think both of these are brilliant marketing schemes that they're putting out there, and kind of cool. And you're bringing different people into the hobby, and you're going to be exposing different people who may not normally have gotten into cards. They're going to go, oh, I want those. The Travis Scott cards are probably not going to be able to afford to get, but I digress. But I thought like the $199 on the Under Armour shoes were, I would have thought
crazy
about
good
getting
price.
a pair.
Yeah. Like
that's what shoes cost. I mean,
right,
shoes
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not a sneaker collector. Like I don't know what the actual prices like would be, but I'm guessing they're way more than that. Typically for like the collector's type of shoes.
Yeah, a lot of the drops are. Under Armour stuff's not as much, but still.
Because I was thinking, we're talking about this, like, oh yeah, what's the price going to be? $300, $500, whatever. Because when you said $199, it's like, whoa, wait, that's crazy.
He's like, I'll take 2.
No, definitely not. But
next to your white party shoes.
Yeah,
like next to your white party shoes. Yeah,
like you could see a Bryce Harper autograph, like a Topps Now autograph. You could see them selling that for like $199 on like a Topps Now thing. So to get that card that is a card and the shoes for $199, that's a great deal. That's a really good way.
The autographs are like randomly.
Yeah, they're 20 random autographs.
Oh, okay,
not everyone gets an autograph.
Production. Yeah,
but still,
everybody gets a card, but only random ones will be autographed.
And that brings the gambling aspect back into it.
Oh yeah,
right?
baby.
Like,
Let's do it.
So are these Bryce Harper shoes that he wore with the PSA 10s? He wore them in a game.
Yeah, he wore them in a game, and then they
and then they
released them
made copies
the
of
next
them.
day or two. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to make fun of it before I praise it.
Okay,
So
okay.
they said PSA.
That's why we
10,
love you, Joe.
They said PSA 10 gem mint on them, and they were probably dirty as all hell after the game. I'm like, yeah, I've seen PSA 10s like that. Just saying. But to praise it, like we talk about all the time, like people putting like cards in food. Remember, like that was like a big thing, and yes, this is a much bigger level of that. But anytime you can like put cards somewhere where you wouldn't expect it, you've got the card people who are like, oh, maybe I'll buy these sneakers because of the potential of the card. Then you've got sneaker people going, oh, these are cool sneakers. Oh, I got a card too. And if they get an autograph, maybe they're like, oh, where can I get more of these pieces of cardboard rectangles, So, I mean, I'm surprised they haven't done more collaborations like this specifically because of sneakerheads being such huge collectors, as well as I think, again, I brought up the Ben kid from the PMG. I think he was a sneaker collector. He might have mentioned as well. So like, there's a lot of crossover appeal to this. And Mike, you've been talking about trying to tap the rapper market for a while now. And, it's kind of surprising that they haven't. Leaf is the only one that really has, and, with mixed results, but like this is definitely not a one-off. We're going to see this more going forward for sure.
All right, guys. Well, I'm out of topics to talk about this week. I think we did enough, right?
Yeah.
But make sure tomorrow to watch our interview with Steve Cherndorf. Don't want to miss that. Trust us. You're gonna love it.
Yes.
We don't upsell you too much here. Go buy a t-shirt too. But make sure you watch this interview tomorrow because it's just a great time. But other than that, I am out. So I will see you next week. Take care, guys.
See you, boys.
Adios.